You ever have somebody say they got your back, then the moment things go sideways, they vanish? I mean, you going through something real and suddenly your phone dry. The same folks who were right there when things were easy, poof, gone. But see, God, he ain't built like that. He don't roll like people do. He said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That means never. Not when you mess up. Not when you're in over your head. Not when you feel like you're drowning in life. Never. Now, look, I don't know what you've been through, but I do know this. Life will try you. Life will put you in a place where you look around and say, who do I even have? And the devil loves that. He loves isolation. Loves making you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands, like nobody cares. But that's a lie. That's smoke and mirrors. Because if you quiet everything else down, if you push past the noise, you'll hear something stronger than fear, louder than doubt. It's God whispering, I'm still here. Let me break this down for you. God didn't promise you wouldn't go through fire. He just promised you wouldn't go through it alone. Think about that. When you're crying in your car trying to smile in front of people but dying inside, he's sitting in the passenger seat. When you're up at 2 o'clock a.m., pacing the floor, worried, sick about bills, kids, health, he's there, steady. You may not feel him all the time, but he's there. He don't clock out. He don't need a lunch break. He don't say, call me tomorrow. He stayed. You might have made some mistakes, big ones, stuff you don't even talk about. But God ain't like people. People keep score. People bring up your past like it's a playlist. God, he already knew what you were going to do before you did it and still said, I'm not going anywhere. Let that sink in. You could fall flat on your face, lose everything, disappoint everybody, even disappoint yourself. And he still won't leave, because his love isn't based on your performance. It's based on his promise. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to feel good. There'll be nights you cry yourself to sleep. There'll be seasons where you wonder, God, are you even real? But even in your doubt, even in your anger, your confusion, your silence, he stays. Not only does he stay, but he carries you. That's what makes him different. He doesn't wait for you to... Some of y'all are sitting there thinking, well, you don't know what I've done. And you're right, I don't. But God does. And he still ain't left. That addiction you're ashamed of, he's seen it. That secret, he knows. That hurt you don't talk about, he was there when it happened, and he's been with you every moment since. You just didn't recognize it. See, sometimes his presence doesn't come in fireworks. Sometimes it's quiet strength, breath in your lungs, a stranger's kindness, a moment of peace in the middle of chaos. I don't care how dark it's been. God is not scared of your darkness. I don't care how broken you feel. God doesn't need you whole to hold you. You can be down to your last nerve, your last dollar, your last ounce of hope, and he will still be the one holding you up when everything else falls. That's the kind of God we serve, a God who says, I see you, I know you, I love you, and I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes life hits you so hard, you start to wonder if God even sees you. You wake up and it feels like you're living in survival mode. Like every time you catch a breath, something else comes along to knock the wind out of you. You keep trying to move forward, but the setbacks just won't quit. And in that place, it's real easy to think, maybe God forgot about you. Or worse, maybe he's punishing you. But let me tell you something, he's not. Because God already said, I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. That right there, that's a promise. Not a maybe, not a possibility, a plan. God is intentional. He's not freestyling with your life. He's not tossing you into situations to see what'll happen. You might not understand the path you're on, but that doesn't mean there isn't a purpose. what looks like chaos to you, it's construction to him. He's building something in you. And sometimes building looks like breaking first. That job you lost, that person who walked away, that door that slammed shut, you thought it was punishment, but it was protection. Now, I know prosper sounds real good when life's going smooth, but what about when the bank account is empty? When the doctor gives you news you didn't expect? When everybody else seems to be winning and you're just trying to survive the day? That's when you got to hold on to this promise with both hands. Because God's definition of prospering you doesn't always mean instant comfort. It means ultimate purpose. Sometimes God will strip everything familiar from you just to show you that your real source isn't in the money or the job or the applause. It's in him. Some of y'all are walking through a hard season right now, and you've been asking, why me? But maybe the better question is, what is this preparing me for? See, you think it's falling apart, but God sees it falling into place. You think he's silent, but he's planning. You think you're stuck, but he's setting you up. That storm you're in right now might just be the transportation to your next level. Don't let your current situation make you forget the character of your God. He's not in the business of harm. He's not out here to destroy you. He's not sitting in heaven, angry and petty, waiting for you to mess up. No, he's a father. And a good father disciplines, yes, but he never harms. He grows, he shapes, he develops, because he's more interested in your destiny than your temporary comfort. You've got dreams, but God's got plans, and his plans are always better, even when they don't feel like it in the moment. Sometimes what looks like delay is just God saying, not yet. I'm still working behind the scenes. You don't see all the ways he's protecting you from things you never even knew were coming. You don't see the divine appointments he's scheduling, the people he's moving, the doors he's aligning, all for your good. And let's not forget the end of that verse, plans to give you hope and a future. That means no matter what happened in your past, no matter how broken your present feels, there's more ahead. There's something worth pressing for. God's not done. He's not finished writing your story. You might be on a rough page right now, but that's not the end of the book. The next chapter could change everything. So stop looking at your current struggle like it's the final scene. It's just part of the setup. God said he's got plans, good ones. And when he promises, he delivers every time. You know what one of the biggest problems is? We stopped asking. Somewhere along the way, we got too tired, too discouraged, or too convinced we didn't deserve it. And we just stopped asking God for what we need. But he already told us plain and simple, ask and it shall be given. Not hint at it, not think about it real hard. He said ask. That's a command and a promise all in one. You're not bothering God when you come to him with your need. You're obeying him. See, we treat God like he's got limited resources, like he's up in heaven budgeting blessings, like he's going to run out if we ask for too much. But the God who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, the God who told the sun where to rise and the ocean where to stop, he's got more than enough. You could ask big and bold every single day of your life, and you still wouldn't even make a dent in his supply. The problem is we let life shrink our expectations. Somebody told us we were asking for too much. Or maybe we got disappointed once and we gave up. We started praying these little safe prayers like, Lord, just get me through the day. No, God is not a survival coach. He's a destiny builder. Stop praying to just make it and start asking to break through. Ask to win. Ask for peace in your mind. Ask for the doors to open. Ask for healing. Ask for clarity. Ask for restoration. Ask for things you can't even explain yet. Now, I get it. Some of y'all did ask, and it didn't happen, at least not the way you wanted. But let me tell you something. Unanswered doesn't mean unheard. Delay doesn't mean denial. Sometimes God is waiting until your character is strong enough to carry what you ask for, because a blessing too early can feel like a burden. You ask for the stage, but you don't know he's working on your voice. You ask for the relationship, but he's healing your heart first, so you don't bleed on the person you love. Asking also requires faith. You can't ask and doubt at the same time. That's like planting a seed and then digging it up every 5 minutes to see if it's growing. You got to ask and then walk like it's already yours. Talk like it's already done. Live like the answer's on the way. Because when you ask in faith, heaven listens. And not only listens, it moves. You're not just throwing words into the air. You are activating promises. You are shifting things in the spirit realm you can't even see yet. Let's be real though. Some of us aren't asking because we don't feel worthy. We think our mistakes disqualify us. We think we got to earn God's yes. But listen, grace already covered your flaws. You don't have to be perfect to ask. You just have to be honest. Come to him raw. Come to him real. God isn't moved by performance. He's moved by faith. The messier your prayer, the more powerful it can be. He's not looking for polished. He's looking for sincere. So stop waiting for things to magically change. Speak up. Ask. Heaven is listening. God is ready. The question is, are you bold enough to open your mouth? Because the promise is right there. Ask and it shall be given. That means what you need is available. You just got to reach for it. Your miracle might be one prayer away. Your breakthrough might be sitting on the other side of one bold request. You ever been tired in a way sleep can't fix? I'm not talking about needing a nap. I'm talking about tired in your soul. Tired from holding it together. Tired from pretending like everything's okay when inside you're one breath away from breaking down. Tired of smiling for people while you're crumbling in private. That kind of tired is real. And for that kind of tired, God gave us a real promise. I will give you rest. Now don't get it twisted. This ain't just about getting a good night's sleep. This is deeper. This is soul rest, mind rest, heart rest. The kind of rest where you finally stop carrying everything by yourself. The kind of rest where you can exhale for real. Some of us are so used to surviving that we've forgot what peace feels like. We've normalized the pressure, waking up anxious, going to bed worried, living in fear like it's part of the routine. But that's not how God intended for you to live. God didn't create you to be worn out all the time. He didn't design you to be constantly overthinking, constantly grinding, constantly overwhelmed. Somewhere along the way, we started treating exhaustion like a badge of honor. Like being busy is proof we're valuable. But hear me, rest is not weakness. Rest is faith. Rest says, God, I trust you enough to stop trying to control everything. Some of y'all been trying to fix things you were never built to carry. That relationship, that job stress, that trauma from 10 years ago, you've been dragging it around like it's yours to fix. But God never asked you to do it alone. He said, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Notice he didn't say, come to me once you've got it figured out. He said, come tired, come messy, come empty, just come. And when you do, he doesn't hand you a to-do list. He doesn't give you more work. He gives you rest. That means he takes the weight off your shoulders. That means he gives you peace in the middle of chaos. He gives you clarity when your mind's in knots. He gives you silence when the noise of life won't quit. That's rest. Not a vacation, not a distraction, real rest. The kind that resets your whole spirit. But here's the truth. You can't receive that rest if you're still clinging to the burden. You can't ask God for peace while you're still trying to control every outcome. At some point, you have to put it down. That fear, lay it down. That worry, put it in his hands. That guilt, that shame, that constant pressure to be everything for everybody, let it go. You weren't created to carry that. You were created to trust. God's not asking you to perform. He's not measuring your worth by how much you get done in a day. He's asking you to sit, to be still, to trust that even when you rest, He's still working. That while you sleep, He's solving things you haven't even prayed about yet. That when you pause, it's not weakness, it's worship. So if you're tired, that's okay. You don't have to pretend you're strong every minute of the day. God sees it. He knows. And He's not disappointed in your exhaustion. He's inviting you into rest, not just on Sunday, every day. In the middle of your work, in the middle of the pressure, you can breathe, you can rest. Not because everything is perfect, but because He is. Let me tell you something real. Life comes at you. And sometimes it comes hard. You wake up one day thinking you've got a grip on things, and then out of nowhere, bam, trouble, unexpected hits, people talking behind your back, bills stacking up, health issues, family drama. And if you're not careful, you start believing that the attack is stronger than the promise. But God already told you, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That means the weapons might show up, but they won't win. Now let's be clear. He didn't say weapons wouldn't form. He never said life would be free of conflict or struggle. He said those weapons won't prosper. They won't do what the enemy designed them to do. They might scare you, shake you, even slow you down for a minute, but they will not succeed. See, God ain't promising you a bubble. He's promising you a victory. Some of y'all are facing things right now that look like they're going to break you. But let me tell you something. If you're still standing, it's already proof that the weapon didn't work. You've been through stuff that should have taken you out. You've cried tears nobody saw, fought battles nobody knows about, and yet you're here, breathing, walking, still got purpose on your name. That's not an accident. That's divine protection. See, the enemy don't attack people who aren't a threat. The fact that you're under pressure is actually a sign that you're carrying something powerful. He wouldn't be coming after you if your destiny didn't scare him. But what he forgot is this. You got backup. You got angels around you. You got favor covering you. You got a promise stamped by God Himself that says whatever is trying to destroy you can't finish the job. And sometimes the weapon isn't a thing, it's a thought. It's that whisper in your mind telling you you're not enough. It's that memory of failure that tries to paralyze you. It's anxiety creeping in at night. It's fear trying to tell you that you'll never get out of this. But those are lies. Because when God says no weapon, He's including every mental, emotional, and spiritual attack. That depression won't prosper. That betrayal won't prosper. That insecurity won't prosper. You might feel the hit, but it won't take you down. Let's be real. Some of the worst weapons were words. People said stuff about you that cut deep. They tried to label you, limit you, break your confidence. But guess what? You outlived every lie. You outlasted every rumor. You survived the season they thought would destroy you. That's because the word over your life is stronger than the word spoken against you. God's approval cancels out every bit of human rejection. Now here's the part we don't like to hear. Sometimes God lets the weapon form just to show you how powerless it really is. You had to go through the storm just so He could show you who's still in control of the wind. He lets you see the attack, feel the heat, then steps in like, watch what I do with this. Because when He brings you out, you don't just come out healed, you come out wiser, stronger, bolder, and more dangerous to the enemy than ever before. So stop being afraid of what's against you. It's not stronger than the one who's for you. The next time life tries to come for your peace, your family, your calling, just remind it, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It might be loud, but it won't last. It might show up, but it won't succeed. You've got God on your side, and that's all you need. There's a certain kind of pain that hits different when you feel like you're facing it all alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely invisible. You can laugh in public and cry in your car. And sometimes the hardest moments aren't even the ones where things fall apart. It's when you feel like nobody's there to help pick up the pieces. But right in the middle of that loneliness, God gives a promise so powerful, it'll stop you in your tracks. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let that sink in for a second. Never. Not most of the time. Not when you're doing everything right. Not unless you mess up. No, he said never. That means on your worst day, when you feel unworthy, broken, and forgotten, he's still right there. It means when you've been through hell and back, when your friends walked away, when the people you thought would always be there disappeared, he didn't. He never moved. You might not feel him, but that doesn't mean he left. You might be too tired to pray, too hurt to believe, too numb to speak, but he's right beside you. Now let's be real. Life will test this promise. You're going to go through seasons where it feels like God went silent, where you prayed and nothing happened, where you looked for signs and all you got was silence. And in those moments, the enemy starts whispering, see, you're on your own. But don't believe that lie. Faith isn't about always feeling something. It's about standing on what he said, not what you see. He said, I will never leave, period. Some of us grew up learning that love walks away when you mess up, that if you're not perfect, people will leave, that you got to earn someone sticking with you. But God doesn't operate like that. He's not checking your performance. He's not grading your faith. He's not in a relationship with you based on how well you're doing this week. His commitment to you isn't temporary. It's eternal. You can fall and he's still there. You can doubt and he's still there. You can run and guess what? He'll follow you into the mess and wait patiently while you realize he never stopped loving you. And I get it. Sometimes the pain is so deep, you question everything. You start asking, God, where are you? But sometimes his presence doesn't come in a shout. It comes in a whisper. It's in the breath you took when you didn't think you'd make it. It's in the strength to get out of bed when your world was falling apart. It's in the unexpected peace that showed up in the middle of your storm. That's him. Always close, always constant. You know what else? God's not just present, he's involved. He's walking with you. He's carrying the weight you think is going to crush you. He's working behind the scenes, fixing things you don't even know are broken yet. He's lining up people, opportunities, and breakthroughs while you're just trying to survive the day. That's not distance. That's dedication. You don't have to beg for his attention. You don't have to earn his love. You don't have to clean yourself up before you can come to him. He's already with you in the heartbreak, in the struggle, in the confusion, in the silence, and not just beside you, for you. You've never been abandoned, not for 1 second. Even when you couldn't feel him, he was holding it all together for you. So no matter what life throws at you, no matter who walks away or what falls apart, hold on to this truth with everything you've got. He will never leave you. And he will never forsake you. That's not just comfort. That's your anchor. There's a moment in life when you hit a wall, not just physically, not just emotionally, but spiritually. You come to the end of yourself. You've tried everything. You've prayed, you've cried, you've pushed, and you still feel like it's not enough. And it's right there in that moment of frustration and weakness that God speaks one of the most powerful promises he ever gave. My grace is sufficient for you. Not your strength, not your plan, not your connections, his grace. Let's get something straight. Grace ain't just some soft churchy word. Grace is power. It's the force that picks you up when life knocks you down. It's what keeps you going when you feel like giving up. It's what carries you through storms you had no business surviving. When you didn't have the answers, when you didn't have the resources, when you didn't have the support, grace stepped in. Grace is the reason you're still standing right now. See, we live in a world that teaches us everything has to be earned. You got to work for it, hustle for it, prove yourself for it. But grace flips all that upside down. Grace says, I've got you, even when you don't got yourself. It's unearned, it's undeserved, and it shows up exactly when you feel the most unworthy. God doesn't give grace to people who've got it all together. He gives it to people who are falling apart, because that's when you finally understand you were never meant to do this alone. Some of y'all been beating yourselves up for being weak, for not having it all figured out, for not being able to fix everything. But can I tell you something? Weakness is not failure. It's the entry point for grace. God told Paul, my strength is made perfect in weakness. That means when you run out of your strength, you finally give God room to show his. That means the part of you that feels like it's falling apart is the exact part where God wants to show up and show out. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend to be strong all the time. Grace meets you in the real, in the struggle, in the chaos, in the addiction, in the depression, in the mistakes. Grace doesn't wait for you to be clean. It comes in the middle of your mess and says, I still love you. I still choose you. And I'm not letting go. Listen, you might not have what it takes in your own power, but grace says that's okay, because he does. And he's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to trust. Trust that his grace will carry you where your strength can't. Trust that his mercy will cover you when your past tries to shame you. Trust that even when you feel like you're barely holding on, he's still holding you. And grace is not just enough to help you survive. It's enough to help you thrive. God's grace doesn't just get you through the valley. It teaches you how to walk through it with your head held high, how to speak peace over chaos, how to live with joy in the middle of uncertainty. That's power. That's grace. So the next time life makes you feel like you're not enough, like you're too weak, too broken, too flawed, remember this: his grace is sufficient for you. Not because of who you are, but because of who he is. And who he is faithful. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a place where you didn't know how you were going to make it? I'm talking about real life pressure, not just inconvenience. I mean, the kind where the rent's due, the fridge is empty, the kids still need things, and the math just ain't mathing. That kind of stress can make you question everything. It can make you feel forgotten. But right in the middle of that storm, there's a promise straight from God's mouth. I will supply all your needs. Now, let me be clear. He didn't say he'd supply all your wants. That's important. This ain't about wish lists and luxury. This is about needs. And God knows the difference. He knows when your soul needs peace more than your wallet needs a raise. He knows when you need strength more than you need applause. He knows how to take care of you in ways you haven't even thought to pray for yet. Because while you're busy stressing about what you see, he's working behind the scenes in what you can't see. Some of y'all know what it's like to stretch $1 so far it should have snapped. You know what it's like to eat the same meal 3 days straight and still thank God for it. You've watched everybody else seem to move forward while you're stuck praying for just enough. But let me tell you something. That place, that hard place, is often where God proves himself most. He may not show up early, but he will never show up late. And when he provides, he doesn't just meet your need. He teaches you that he is the source. See, too often we think our job is the source. Our business is the source. The person who helps us out here and there, that's the source. But those are just channels. God is the source. When one channel closes, he opens another. When the door shuts, he builds a new door. He's not limited by your paycheck, your credit score, or the economy. He owns it all. And when he says he'll supply all your needs, he can take that to the bank, faith bank, not the one that charges overdraft fees. And let's talk about the how for a second, because sometimes his provision doesn't look the way we expect. Sometimes he supplies through a friend, showing up at the exact moment you needed encouragement. Sometimes he sends an opportunity disguised as a challenge. Sometimes he opens a door you were scared to walk through. He's not always going to do it your way, but he will do it. And when he does, it'll be better than what you were trying to figure out by yourself. But here's the catch. You've got to let go of the panic and trust his promise. Worry won't move God faster. Fear won't make the blessing come sooner. What moves him is faith. Faith that says, God, I don't know how, but I know you. I don't see the answer, but I believe you are the answer. That kind of faith creates space for God to move. Some of you right now are standing at the edge of a miracle and don't even realize it. You're one step away from seeing God do something that will make you cry tears of gratitude. You're one act of faith away from watching him supply your needs in a way that makes no earthly sense, but he will, because he said he would. And when God makes a promise, it's not a suggestion, it's a guarantee. Heaven doesn't go broke. God's resources don't run dry. You serve a provider who sees the need before you even feel it. So even if it looks like you're lacking, hold your head up. You're not abandoned. You're not forgotten. You are seen and you are covered. God said he would supply all your needs, and he doesn't break his word. Let's talk about something real, prayer. Not the kind you memorize, not the kind you say just before a meal, not the kind you mumble half asleep at night. I'm talking about that deep down, heart wide open, Lord, I need you right now kind of prayer. That moment when you don't have the fancy words, but you've got a real request, and God makes a promise in that moment that ought to blow your mind. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. Now hold up, let's not rush past that. He said anything, not some things, not easy things, not just the things you think are realistic, anything. That's big, that's bold, but there's a key to it. It's not just about asking, it's about asking in his name. That means you're not coming in your own power. You're not praying based on how good you've been and how many scriptures you've memorized. You're asking in the authority, the character, and the power of Jesus. That's like having a passcode to the vault of heaven. When you pray in his name, you're saying, I don't deserve it on my own, but I've been given access through the Son. You're not knocking on the door like a stranger. You're walking in like a child who knows their father owns the whole house. But let's be honest, some of us have stopped asking. Life beat you down so many times you stopped believing things could change. You asked before and nothing happened, so now you hesitate. You tell yourself maybe it wasn't God's will. Maybe you're even afraid to be disappointed again. But listen to me. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. You don't stop asking just because the answer's been delayed. God's timing is not rejection, it's preparation. See, when you pray in Jesus' name, you're aligning your will with his. It's not just about getting stuff. It's about getting his heart. When your desires line up with his purpose, the door swings open. You start praying bold prayers, dangerous prayers, prayers that shake things up in your life, prayers that say, God, move how you want to move. Open what needs to be open, close what needs to be closed. Change me if that's what it takes. And sometimes asking in his name means asking with confidence. That's where we miss it. We think we're bothering God. We think we're not spiritual enough to pray big prayers. But he's your father, not your boss. He wants to hear from you, and he's not offended by your big dreams. In fact, he's the one who gave you those dreams in the first place. So ask like you know who you're talking to. Ask like you know the one who parted the Red Sea, healed the sick, raised the dead, and still shows up every single day. Here's the truth. Heaven is full of answers waiting for a voice, waiting for you to believe again, waiting for you to speak what you need, waiting for you to stop playing small and start standing in your authority. You have access. You have the name. Use it. When you speak the name of Jesus over your situation, you're not just tossing up words. You're sending power into motion. Chains break when you say his name. Doors open. Mountains move. The atmosphere shifts. And not because of you, but because of him. So if you're in a season where you don't know what else to do, ask. If you're on the edge of giving up, ask. If you're praying for your children, your marriage, your health, your peace, ask. Don't whisper it. Don't second guess it. Ask in his name. Ask with faith. Ask like you already know the answers on the way. He said, if you ask anything in my name, I will do it. That's not a suggestion. That's a promise. And he doesn't make promises he doesn't keep. Let me tell you something that might just shift your whole perspective. You're more protected than you realize. I know life can feel like a battlefield. One minute you're doing good, then out of nowhere, things start coming at you. People turn on you. Plans fall apart. Stress builds. And it starts to feel like the world is plotting against your peace. But even in the heat of the fight, God gave you a promise that should have you walking with your head held high. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Now pay close attention to how that's worded. He didn't say the weapon wouldn't form. He didn't say the attack wouldn't come. He didn't say the enemies wouldn't try. The promise is that it won't prosper. That means the weapon might be real, the threat might be loud, the opposition might be serious, but it will not succeed in taking you out. God didn't promise a life without battles. He promised you victory in the battle. You see, the enemy doesn't come after people who aren't a threat. If he's targeting you, it's because he sees the power you carry. He knows your potential. He knows what God has placed inside you. He sees your future even when you're doubting your present. That's why he sends the attack, to distract, discourage, and destroy. But here's the good news. God has already put boundaries around your life. There's a limit to what the enemy can do. He might be loud, but he's on a leash. Let me break it down. That betrayal you didn't see coming, it won't prosper. That diagnosis that tried to shake your faith, it won't prosper. That depression that tried to sit on your chest and steal your joy, it won't prosper. You might take some hits. You might feel tired. You might even cry at night. But you will not be defeated. You were never meant to live in faith. God has already gone ahead of you. He's prepared the path. He's covering your blind spots. And while the enemy's forming weapons in the dark, God is shining light on your destiny. You're not walking through life exposed. You've got spiritual armor on. You've got favor that can't be explained. You've got angels surrounding you. You've got grace that blocks what should have broken you. Every time the enemy tries something, God flips it and uses it for your growth. You ever been through something that should have destroyed you? Like you look back now and wonder, how in the world did I survive that? That's because the weapon formed, but it didn't prosper. That's because what was meant for evil, God used for good. That's because his hand was on you the entire time, even when you couldn't see it. The promise was still in place, even when the pain tried to make you forget it. And I get it, it's hard to feel victorious in the middle of the storm. It's tough to trust the process when you feel surrounded. But don't let what's forming make you forget what God already said. You're covered. You're chosen. You're protected. And you are not alone in this fight. You don't have to swing blindly. You've already been promised the win. So walk like it, talk like it, pray like it, praise like it. When the attacks come, don't panic. Prophesy, speak that promise out loud. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Because when God declares something over your life, hell can't undo it. And when he says you're going to make it, nothing the enemy throws at you can stop it. Weapons might form, but child, they will never prosper. Let me tell you something about peace. Real peace, the kind that doesn't even make sense. I'm not talking about the kind of peace you feel when everything's going right, when the bills are paid, the kids are behaving, and life is treating you kind. No, I'm talking about that next level peace, the kind that shows up when everything around you is falling apart. That's the peace God promised when he said, I will give you peace which passes understanding. Let's be honest, life isn't always calm. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of a storm. The news is bad, the money's funny, your relationships feel like they're barely holding together, and your mind starts running 1,000 miles a minute. That's the kind of pressure that makes most people break. But then there's you, walking through the fire like it's a summer breeze. Not because you've got it all figured out, but because you've got a peace that can't be explained. People will look at you and ask, how are you so calm? Why aren't you panicking? Don't you see what's going on? And your answer, if you're being honest, will be, I should be falling apart, but I'm not. I should be losing sleep, but I'm resting. I should be angry, bitter, anxious, but somehow I've got peace. That's not normal peace. See, his peace doesn't ask permission from your circumstances. It doesn't wait for everything to be perfect. His peace interrupts the chaos. It walks into the middle of your storm like it owns the place. It silences the noise in your mind, settles your anxious heart, and says, I got this. His peace is not fragile. It's not passive. It's powerful. It's active. It holds you together when everything else is trying to pull you apart. And the best part, you don't have to earn it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to fake it. All you've got to do is receive it. God's peace is a gift. He's saying, let me take that burden off you. Let me handle what you can't control. Let me hold what's too heavy for you. But you got to let it go. You can't hold on to anxiety and expect to receive peace at the same time. You got to make a decision. God, I trust you more than I trust my fear. Sometimes the reason we don't feel peace is because we keep trying to be in control. But peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. When you say, God, I don't know what's next, but I trust that you do, that's when the peace kicks in. That's when your mind starts to settle. That's when your spirit starts to rest. Not because the situation changed, but because your posture changed. You can be in the middle of a storm and still have peace. You can be surrounded by chaos and still walk with confidence. That's what it means when he says his peace passes understanding. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, but it shows up. And when it shows up, everything else has to bow. Fear has to bow. Worry has to bow. Panic has to bow, because peace is not just a feeling. It's a presence. It's the presence of God with you in the middle of the madness. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember who promised you peace. Not the world's peace, the kind that fades when trouble shows up, but his peace. The peace that anchors you. The peace that guards your heart and mind. The peace that reminds you no matter what it looks like right now, everything is going to be all right. Because when God gives you peace, he gives you himself. And that, my friend, is more than enough. Life can feel like a fight sometimes. Let's not sugarcoat it. You wake up and it feels like you're already in the ring, fighting stress, fighting bills, fighting for your marriage, your sanity, your children, your future. You look around and wonder, why does everything have to be so hard? Every time you catch your breath, something else hits you. You start questioning if you've got anything left in the tank. But let me drop this promise into your spirit. I will fight for you. That right there, that's not just encouragement. That's a guarantee from the God who never loses a battle. See, some of us have been trying to win wars we never meant to fight alone. We've been swinging at everything that moves, trying to defend ourselves, prove ourselves, fix it all with our own two hands. But God is saying, stand still, step back, let me step in. This battle is mine. You ever seen a heavyweight boxer walk into the ring? His team doesn't fight for him. He's the one doing the swinging. But in God's economy, it's reversed. You're in the ring, but he's doing the fighting. You've got enemies you can't see, attacks you don't even know are coming, people plotting behind your back, situations trying to steal your peace, and God is right there in the middle of it, throwing punches on your behalf. You didn't even know. He blocked that breakdown last week. You didn't realize that delay was him protecting you from something you didn't see coming. And when God fights for you, he fights to win. He's not showing up to play defense. He's showing up to conquer. The problem is we keep getting in his way. We try to handle it ourselves. We let pride talk us into fixing things that need divine intervention. But the real power is in surrender. You've got to be bold enough to say, Lord, I can't do this. But you can. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Some of y'all are in battles right now that feel way too big, like you're outnumbered, like it's too late. But let me remind you, you plus God is always the majority. The doctor might have given you a bad report. The bank account might be in the red. The relationship might look dead. But God is saying, don't you move. Don't panic. Don't run. Just stand. I will fight for you. And when he fights, things happen. Mountains move. Chains break. Strongholds fall. Doors open that no man can shut. Sometimes his fight doesn't look like what you expect. Sometimes he fights by giving you peace when you should be losing your mind. Sometimes he fights by closing doors that look good but would have ruined you. Sometimes he fights by elevating you in front of the very people who tried to take you down. You won't always see him swinging, but you'll see the results. Victory that doesn't make sense. Favor that can't be explained. Protection that shows up just in time. But don't mistake God's fight for inactivity. Just because it feels quiet doesn't mean he's not moving. Just because it looks like nothing's happening doesn't mean nothing's being shifted. Heaven don't fight with noise, it fights with power. And when God moves, it's done, settled, finished. So stop exhausting yourself, trying to be your own hero. You were never meant to fight alone. You don't have to defend your name, your purpose, your destiny. The one who called you is the one who covers you. And he's saying today, you rest, I fight. So step aside, stand tall, and let the Lord do what only he can do. Let's talk about something every single one of us deals with. Needs. I'm not talking about wishes or luxuries. I'm talking about those basic, deep down, can't live without it type of needs. The kind that keep you up at night wondering how you're going to make it. Maybe it's a financial need. Maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's about your family, your health, your peace. But the promise still stands bold and unshaken. I will supply all your needs. Let's be clear. This ain't some motivational catchphrase. This is a declaration from the creator of the universe. The same God who hung stars in the sky and told the ocean how far to go is looking you in the face and saying, don't worry, I got you. He didn't say, I might help if things aren't too busy up in heaven. He said, I will supply. That's not a suggestion. That's a commitment. But here's where we get tripped up. We start focusing on the how. How's it going to happen? How will the bills get paid? How will the doors open? How will I make it through this month? But God doesn't ask you to figure out the how. He just asks you to trust the who, because the who is him. And when you know who your provider is, you stop panicking over what's missing. Look, I've been broke. I've been in seasons where I had more muff than money. I've seen the pantry empty and the gas tank on E. I've been in situations where I had to choose between paying the light bill or buying groceries. And somehow, some way, God made a way. A check came out of nowhere. A door opened that had been shut for years. A no turned into a yes without explanation. That wasn't luck. That was God supplying the need. Sometimes he does it through people. Sometimes he does it through promotions, unexpected calls, new ideas, or quiet miracles you never see coming. But make no mistake, when the need shows up, so does the supply. And not just enough to scrape by. He said he'd supply all your needs. Not some, not a few, not the easy ones, all. But understand this. There's a difference between needs and wants. See, we want comfort. We want things to go smooth. We want the blessing without the lesson. But God knows what you need to grow, what you need to become who he called you to be. Sometimes he won't give you the comfort you want because he's given you the character you need. That delay you're frustrated with, that's him shaping you. That no, you didn't understand, that's him protecting you. Don't mistake his provision for just physical things. Sometimes the greatest provision is wisdom, patience, or strength in the middle of struggle. And if you've ever doubted that God sees you, let this be your reminder. He's already got a plan in place. That rent you're stressing over, he's got it. That job you're waiting on, he's already working. That healing you've been praying for, he's moving in ways you can't even see. Just because the answer hasn't arrived yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. Your job is not to chase provision. Your job is to chase God. When you seek him first, provision follows. It doesn't lead, it follows. You stay faithful and the resources will come. You stay obedient and the help will show up. Because when you walk with the supplier, you'll never run out of supply. So whatever you need today, peace, direction, a breakthrough, or a miracle, remember this: you're not forgotten and you're not forsaken. You've got a provider who sees your need before you even speak it. And he's not limited by what's in your bank account, who you know, or where you came from. He's unlimited. He's faithful. And he will supply. One of the hardest things to deal with in life is feeling alone. And I'm not talking about just being by yourself physically. I'm talking about feeling unseen, unheard, unsupported. Like you're walking through life with the weight of the world on your shoulders and no one's got your back. Friends don't call. Family doesn't understand. People let you down. And in those moments, it's easy to wonder, God, where are you? But let me remind you of something that's deeper than emotion and stronger than circumstance. God said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Now that right there is a promise with some power. Because God doesn't say things casually. He doesn't say never and mean maybe. When he says he'll never leave you, that means never. Not when you mess up, not when you lose your job, not when you doubt, not when you fall into that old habit again. Even in your worst moments, God says, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. People will walk away from you when it gets hard. They'll distance themselves when your life gets messy. But God, he moves closer. He gets down in the dirt with you. He doesn't wait for you to have it all together before he sticks around. He's not looking for perfect. He's looking for real. And when you're real with him, when you say, God, I'm struggling. God, I'm hurting. God, I don't know what to do. He wraps himself around your situation and says, you're not going through this alone. You ever been in a place where you felt like nobody understood you? Like even when people were around, you still felt isolated? That's where the enemy does his best work. In isolation, because if he can get you to feel alone, he can get you to act alone. But God is right there in the silence, right there in the dark, right there in the in-between seasons. Even when you don't feel him, he's there. It's kind of like GPS. When you're driving and following directions, sometimes there's a long stretch where the voice doesn't say anything. No updates, no rerouting, just silence. But that silence doesn't mean you're off track. It means you're still on the right path. Same thing with God. Sometimes it feels like he's not speaking, but that doesn't mean he's not present. That just means he already gave you the direction, and now he's riding with you, making sure you get there. And listen, God's presence is not based on your performance. You can't earn it. You can't mess it up. You can't lose it because you didn't do everything right this week. He said he'd never leave, not as long as you're perfect, not as long as you pray every day. He said never. And never means through your failures, through your doubts, through your pain. He stays when everyone else leaves. There's something powerful that happens when you really believe that. When you understand that you're not walking alone, you stop shrinking back in fear. You start standing taller. You start praying bolder. You start making moves because you know that wherever you go, he's going with you. And if he's with you, you don't need to be afraid of who's against you. So even if life has left you bruised, even if the road has been lonely, don't let your feelings lie to you. God is closer than you think. He's the one holding you together when you feel like falling apart. He's the one whispering peace to your soul when your world is shaking. He hasn't left. He won't leave, and he never will. Weakness is something nobody likes to talk about. We live in a world where everybody wants to look strong, act strong, and be seen as strong. You ever notice how people fake it just to seem like they've got it all together? Smile on the outside, falling apart on the inside. They post the highlight reel, but never show the behind the scenes. But let's be real. Life has a way of breaking even the strongest people down. That's why this promise from God is so powerful. I will give you strength when you are weak. Now notice, he didn't say, I'll make sure you're never weak. He didn't say, I'll protect you from ever feeling tired, overwhelmed, or empty. No, he said, when you are weak, that's when I step in with my strength. That means weakness doesn't disqualify you. It actually invites God in. It's not the end of your power. It's the beginning of his. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who kept getting up after life knocked them down. But here's the secret. They didn't get up on their own. They didn't rise because of their own might. They rose because God breathed strength into them when they had nothing left. And that same God wants to do the same for you. Maybe right now you're running on empty. You're tired in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. You've been strong for so long, for your family, for your friends, for your job. And now you're wondering, what about me? Who's holding me up? Let me tell you who. God is. That strength you didn't know how you found last week, that was him. That moment you wanted to quit, but something in you said, keep going, that was him. That day you cried and somehow still stood up to face what was ahead, that was him. And here's what's beautiful. God doesn't just give strength once. He doesn't ration it out like it's going to run out. He gives it daily, fresh, custom made for whatever you're facing. The strength you needed yesterday may not be enough for today, but guess what? Today comes with its own dose. You don't have to drag yesterday's strength into today. You just have to show up and say, God, I need you, and he'll meet you right there. See, God's strength shows up best when yours runs out, because when you're running on human strength, you get limited results. But when you tap into divine strength, things start shifting. You begin doing things you never thought you could do. You start walking through fire and not getting burned. You start standing in storms and not being shaken. That's not you. That's him in you. And let's not confuse strength with appearance. Real strength isn't loud. It's not about looking tough or never showing emotion. Sometimes real strength is just getting out of bed when everything in you says stay down. Sometimes it's holding your tongue when you want to snap. Sometimes it's trusting God even when you don't understand. That quiet strength, that inner resilience, that's God holding you up when everything around you is trying to pull you down. So when you feel weak, don't be ashamed. Don't hide it. Don't act like you got it all under control. That's the moment to say, God, I can't, but I know you can. And right then, in that moment of surrender, His power starts flowing. His grace starts covering. His strength starts rising up in you, and you begin to do the impossible, not because you're enough, but because He is. There's a kind of peace the world talks about, and then there's the kind of peace that only God can give. The world says peace comes when everything's perfect, when the bills are paid, the family's happy, the job is secure, your health is good, and nothing's going wrong. But let's be honest, when is life ever that perfect? You can be doing everything right, and chaos still knocks on your door. That's why this promise from God hits so deep. I will give you peace. Not just any peace, not temporary, not surface level, not the kind you lose the minute something doesn't go your way. God is offering you a peace that passes all understanding, a peace that shows up in the storm, a peace that doesn't make sense to other people, the kind where folks look at what you're going through and say, how are you still standing? And all you can say is, it's God. Some of the most powerful moments in your life won't be when everything's going right. It'll be when everything's falling apart, but you've still got peace. That's when you know God is real. Anybody can be calm when the waters are smooth, but when the waves are crashing and you're still steady, that's God's hand holding you up. You might be in a place right now where your mind is spinning, you're overthinking, stressing, worrying about things you can't control. Your thoughts keep you up at night and your heart feels like it's running a marathon. But God is saying, come to me and I'll give you rest. I'll quiet your mind. I'll still your heart. I'll bring peace where there's been panic. That's not just poetic, that's power. And let's be real, sometimes peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of God in the problem. That's why you can go through the same situation somebody else did, but not lose your mind like they did. You had a covering, you had peace, you had something inside you stronger than the storm outside you. Peace is knowing that even if things aren't working the way you hoped, God is still working behind the scenes. Peace is knowing that even if people walk away, God stays. Peace is knowing that your future is not in the hands of the economy, your boss, or the doctor, but in the hands of the one who holds the whole world. That peace anchors you. It grounds you when life starts shaking. You don't have to earn this peace. You don't have to qualify for it. God isn't waiting for you to get it all together before He gives it. No. He gives it because He knows life will break you down without it. You were never created to carry all this pressure. You were never meant to figure everything out alone. That's why He said, cast your cares on me. That's not a suggestion, that's an invitation. You've been trying to find peace in people, in money, in success, in distraction, but all of that fades. God's peace doesn't. It shows up in hospital rooms, in courtrooms, in late night breakdowns, in quiet prayers, whispered with tears in your eyes. It walks with you through grief, heartbreak, confusion, and transition. It's not fake. It's not fragile. So breathe. Let it go. Whatever is trying to steal your peace, hand it over. You don't have to control everything. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to rest in the promise that the God who created you is also the God who will settle you. He will calm the storm in you, even if the storm around you keeps raging. That's his peace, and it's yours